So you guys may have not really realized it, but if you have a Target by you and you're looking to get some of the latest games at great prices, you can do so right now because they are running an incredible 30% off sale if you buy games online and order them to pick up in store. You can actually end up getting some stellar deals and some of the best deals that we've seen on some of these newly released games. I went on Target's official website and I looked at the games that were priced the best and that you could take advantage of and get the best deals possible. Now, your mileage is going to vary depending on what your local Target has in stock, but I decided to gather all of the good deals that I saw and we'll be running through it. Just check for yourself, see if your Target has any of these in stock, and there's a lot of options, so we'll be going through all of them. Alright, to get things started, Devil May Cry 5 is listed at $49.99. With that 30% off, you'll end up getting this for $35, which is pretty ridiculous and the lowest price I've seen DMC5 for. Typically, if this does go on sale, we'll see it for around $40, which is a good buy, but at $35, it's even better. Of course, I thought Devil May Cry 5 was one of the best games of 2019. It's rather short and not all too plentiful from a content standpoint. However, the content that you do get here is rather good, and if you want a fast-paced action game that is stylish in presentation and gameplay, you'll absolutely find that in DMC5. This is a game that I could very well see get cheaper and cheaper. I could see by the fall it's down to $20, $25, so if you want to wait on it a little bit longer, probably will end up paying dividends, but if not, if you're eager to try out Devil May Cry 5 for $35, it is quite good. Next up, Ace Combat 7 Skies Unknown. This is listed at $39.99, so $40. With that 30% off, you'll end up getting it for $28, which is without a doubt the cheapest I've seen Ace Combat 7 for. Ace Combat 7 is a game that for a while was holding up in price. Bandai Namco titles in general, just for a little while, they do hold up in price. Ace Combat 7 at $28, however, is a great buy. I know Ace Combat isn't a franchise that all too many are familiar with, and this one had the unfortunate fate of being released right around the same time as Kingdom Hearts 3 and Resident Evil 2. And of course, alongside those two games, Ace Combat 7 did fall a little bit beneath them. However, from a content standpoint and a gameplay standpoint, Ace Combat 7 is just as good. It's got some slick presentation, the story's a little bit wacky, but honestly, it's fun in that sense as well. Visuals are great, gameplay is solid, and with the PlayStation 4 version, you do have a PlayStation VR mode included as well. There's a lot to like out of Ace Combat 7, a sizable amount of content here as well, so $28 for that is quite good. Shadow of the Tomb Raider is available for $25. You can enjoy another 30% off if you pick it up in store, and if my math is correct, that would knock it down to $17 and change, which for Shadow of the Tomb Raider, that is really, really good. Now, I have been vocal in saying that I don't think this is the best Tomb Raider game since the reboot. I would actually probably put this second place or third place even. I definitely think Rise of the Tomb Raider is a better game, and whether or not you want to go for the original or go for this one, probably go for this one. But nonetheless, that's a debate for another time. Shadow of the Tomb Raider still has a lot to like. The gameplay is incredibly strong. The content is plentiful. The issue with Shadow of the Tomb Raider definitely comes from a narrative standpoint, and it's not like I go into Tomb Raider expecting this superb narrative. However, in Shadow of the Tomb Raider, it was just so nonsensical, and it honestly got a little bit ridiculous that, yes, it did hamper the game a little bit. However, from a gameplay and content standpoint, Shadow of the Tomb Raider is still pretty good, and for $17 and change, I think it's a good pickup. Next up, Final Fantasy 15 Royal Edition is listed for $20. 30% off of that will knock it down to $14. What a great deal on Final Fantasy 15 Royal Edition. Now, Final Fantasy 15 is one of the most controversial Final Fantasy games in the long history of Final Fantasy, so that is saying quite a lot. It's even more controversial than games like Final Fantasy 8 and Final Fantasy 12, maybe even more controversial than 13. Kind of funny, we've had a lot of controversial Final Fantasy games recently, 12, 13, and 15. Hopefully the 7 remake can get it back on track, but I still enjoyed Final Fantasy 15 quite a bit. The narrative with this game, one of the worst stories that you're gonna find in a Final Fantasy game. It is just so nonsensical, and yes, they did throw in all of these movies, anime series, extra DLC, whatever the case may be, but even piecing all that together, Final Fantasy 15's story is just not very good. And let's be real, the majority of you guys are just gonna play the game. You're not gonna go out and watch the movie. You're not gonna watch the anime series or whatever. And the story of Final Fantasy 15 is just not very good. And in this case, you go into a Final Fantasy game expecting a quality story. It's not like Shadow of the Tomb Raider, where you're not really going into a Tomb Raider game expecting this compelling narrative. With Final Fantasy, that is kind of the case, and unfortunately, Final Fantasy 15 didn't offer that. However, what it did offer is a gorgeous open world, some fast-paced, stylish combat, And with all of those elements put together, I still think there's a lot of fun to be had with Final Fantasy 15. The issue is there was a 10-year build-up to the release of this game, And you're hearing someone that was really looking forward to the game for those 10 years, so obviously it disappointed me, but nonetheless, if you just go into it expecting a quality action-oriented open-world RPG, you're definitely gonna find that here with FF15. Next up, Mega Man 11 is listed for $14. If my math is correct, with 30% off, you'll get it for $9.80. That is great for Mega Man 11. Some classic Mega Man gameplay here. Capcom has really done the Blue Bomber justice, and after the release of Mighty No. 9, I really thought Mega Man was just gonna go to the wayside. Obviously, Mighty No. 9 wasn't done by Capcom, but you get the idea. But thankfully, Capcom brought Mega Man back with Mega Man 11, and it turned out to be a great game with some great gameplay, and that traditional fundamental Mega Man content that we know and love, and for south of $10, yeah, that's a great buy. Next up, a JRPG that I always go to bat for, Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition is 30% off, $28 for this one. It's listed at $40. Tales of Vesperia is a tremendous game. Obviously, the Tales of games don't differ greatly from one another. What you really have to hone in on is the storytelling, the characters, and those elements, and Tales of Vesperia does those elements much justice. Now, the story isn't anything incredible. It's your typical save the world story. However, the characters in this game are so compelling, especially the main character, one of the best main characters, not only in a JRPG, but honestly in all of gaming. Yuri is just a very engaging character, and it's rounded out by a solid cast altogether, and that really takes Tales of Vesperia to the next level. And on top of that, you've got that quality Tales of gameplay, you've got a ton of content here, and for $28, I would definitely give it a look if you're a fan of JRPGs, or you're even just looking to get into the genre. I think Tales of Vesperia is a worthwhile look. Call of Duty Infinite Warfare Legacy Edition is down to $28, 30% off of that. If I can do the math real quick, I believe it would be south of $20, maybe $18 and change, somewhere around that range. It includes Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. You've got Modern Warfare Remastered, which a lot of you may have already gotten thanks to PlayStation Plus. However, if you didn't, $18 and change for Call of Duty Infinite Warfare and Modern Warfare Remastered, yeah, that is really good and easily worth a recommendation. Infinite Warfare has a really good single-player campaign, and Call of Duty Modern Warfare is what it is. It's one of the most iconic first-person shooters of all time. Decent single-player campaign there as well. You've got multiplayer as well. Infinite Warfare's multiplayer isn't anything to write home about at this point, but Modern Warfare Remastered still has a relatively active community. And again, the two single-player campaigns, you've got some multiplayer content in there, all of that south of $20. That's pretty great. Next up, we have Shadow of the Colossus, which is listed at $19.19. However, saving 30% would knock it down to south of $14, which is a really great deal for SOTC. It was available for around that price as a part of the Days of Play sale, but now it's available for that again. And again, SOTC is a tremendous game. Many would say it's the best PlayStation 2 game of all time, and that says a lot considering the PlayStation 2 had an incredible library of games. This PlayStation 4 version done by Bluepoint Games, man oh man, this is the definitive way to play Shadow of the Colossus. The visuals are breathtaking, and the real issue with SOTC back in the day was it was really just ahead of its time, and with it being on the PlayStation 4, those issues are completely remedied. It looks even better on the Pro, and for south of $14, it's a great buy. Definitely give that one a look. The recently released Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, you can save 30% on that and get it for $28, given that this is a super recent release, and you can have it for south of $30. That's pretty good. It's a great kart racer. We don't have Mario Kart on the PlayStation 4, so this is the next best bet. And we've got some other decent kart racers as well. Team Sonic Racing just came out, and that was pretty good, but I would put CTR a little bit above that, and for $28, it's a good buy. Kingdom Hearts 3 is listed for $35, saving 30% on that, I believe, would knock it down to $24.50. I've talked about Kingdom Hearts 3 numerous times. If you're just getting into the series, of course, check out the story so far, but otherwise, Kingdom Hearts 3 is a fairly good JRPG. The story is what it is. It's losing me a little bit, but if you've been a fan of the series for a long time, you've probably already checked it out, and if you haven't, now that it's south of $25, you should really give it a look. Next up, Resident Evil 2 is down to $28 after the 30% off discount. Resident Evil 2, you can make an argument that this is the best game of 2019 thus far. For me, it really comes down to this, Devil May Cry 5, and another game that we're gonna get to very soon, but Resident Evil 2, a great game, much like DMC 5, not plentiful from a content standpoint, however, very much filled with quality, and for $28, if you want a quality survival horror game, you're gonna find that here, so give that a look. Next up, the other game that could be considered Game of the Year, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, is listed at $48 with a 30% off. I think you'll end up getting it for $33 and change. Math might be a little bit off there, but that is without a doubt the cheapest I've seen Sekiro for, which is a tremendous deal, a tremendous game on top of that. It is incredibly challenging, and compared to the Souls games, a lot of people would say that it's even more difficult. It's just of a different style. It has some different gameplay elements, and you have to take that into account. You can't really just play this game like Dark Souls. You have to go into it expecting a new action game, but it does have some incredible presentation elements. The gameplay is incredibly satisfying, and for $33 and change, I do think it's a good buy. Of course, From Software is now hard at work on a new game, Elden Ring. We'll see how that turns out. But for now, Sekiro is still very much worthwhile to play. And lastly, I do want to give a shout to Mortal Kombat 11, another very recent release. It is $50, but 30% off will knock it down to $35. It's Mortal Kombat. If you've been following this channel, you know that I had my complaints with this game based on a lot of the DLC and a lot of the microtransactions, but they've remedied a lot of the issues. Still not a big fan with all of the DLC fighting games have, but Mortal Kombat 11 is a very, very good fighting game when you judge it from its fundamentals. All the gameplay and all the content is top-notch, and at $35, I would definitely give this a strong recommendation. And that's gonna conclude this video. Again, if you have a Target nearby you and you want to pick up some of these games, now is the best time to do so. Knocking off 30% on games like Devil May Cry 5, Ace Combat 7, SOTR, Final Fantasy 15, Tales of Vesperia, Shadow of the Colossus, CTR, which just came out, Resident Evil 2, Sekiro, Mortal Kombat 11, some great deals to be had. And that's gonna conclude this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.